Making the Invisible Visible, Black Women 365 Days of the Year. Each day will spotlight a remarkable woman whose story has shaped Black, British or global diasporic history. Women whose achievements are too often overlooked. Through these daily short films, we create a living, breathing archive of leadership, creativity, resistance and legacy. Let's begin.
Well, I am Radikal Queen. I am a grassroots cosmologist and a writer-musician. One of the things that's big for me is community and connection. And it's taken me by surprise. I have a specific piece that I have found over the years when I'm in an area, a venue, a community that I feel doesn't welcome me for various reasons. And when I perform this poem, I find that women, women of all ages, genders, backgrounds, you name it, all these differences will come to me and feel connected. So I feel that art can connect people even more so than we think. And that's been part of my own mission. Day to day, my work, it involves, I think, the different modes that I'm rotating between, and sometimes they're happening simultaneously within myself or with different pieces of work. There's the generation, there's the integration, there's the consolidation, and then some of the hardest part is the production, like getting your work out there into the world and figuring out what shape it should be and who you should send it to, the practical business of being an artist. And so the creative part, I think the easiest part for me is the generation, is the creativity. And then I've learned through the years the process of integrating your work. So rather than writing pieces that get put in a box somewhere, and then I look at the box, I'm like, what is this? What page does this belong to? I can't read my writing. I've now developed a process where what I create, I can actually curate and develop. And then looking at the market, I feel so grown up, looking at the market. Well, who should I send that to? How should I market this? So that's a lot of the process of being a writer. I think I'm a constant work in progress. This was an interesting one because I feel like there's so many moments in my life that come to mind, and was more of an inner realization, an inner shift. And it was just a shift of perspective. Nothing else changed, but that shift of perspective changed everything about my practice. And I sat there and I thought, okay, what if everything I've done in my life has been done on purpose? And that allowed me to properly embody who I am, because I thought, okay, what has been done? What has happened in my life? It's been a life that's been filled almost from day one with books and reading and the love of books and stories, of being surrounded by people who nurtured my love of books, nurtured my love of learning. The houses I lived with my parents, the walls were lined with custom shelves made to contain books and vinyl records. The huge part of my life. And then, of course, I come from a Cameroonian Central African background, and that culture is obsessed with music, obsessed with dancing. And the only way that I know to dance and deal with music is that improvisational, that moment, letting the music move you, letting the creative moment show you, reveal what's going to happen. So all of these things have informed the way I write, the way I perform, the way I talk, the way I move on stage. And the important part is that I am the only expert on being Radikal Queen. So it takes competition. Nobody can be a better Radikal Queen than me. And at the same time, I can never be a better other person than they are. So I don't have this sense of competing and trying to be like this person, or feeling uncomfortable about are they going to be like me? Because it's impossible. And that's really helped my practice as a creative, as a person, as a woman, as a Black woman in the world that we live in. And it's kept me safe. If you ask the people in my community, they will tell you that I'm difficult, confrontational, scary, aggressive. I have been labeled all these things simply, and I think as a Black woman, simply for insisting that I'm entitled to exist. I'm entitled to exist. And so for us, just taking a breath is, how dare you? What if somebody else wanted that air? I've experienced what it's like to be standing in a position and somebody else decides they want to walk through me. I've actually got a short piece called I Am Not a Doorway. What hurts you is swallowing the anger, I personally feel. What hurts you is surrendering your right to exist because you want other people to see you as pleasant. And I on the one hand, it would be good, I think it would be better if people were able to see me as a person who's allowed to take big breaths of air. And even if they don't think I have permission, I will be doing it, right? I just wish I didn't have to fight. It's like a social corset. I wish I didn't have to fight to breathe. I find that finding a way to be in nature, finding a way to witness nature, to see nature, making connections, like whenever I come across a living earthling, even if just greeting them, even if just saying, oh, hello, sparrow, and it's such a habit now, I forget, sometimes people look at me and they're like, who's she talking to? It's like, oh, I was just talking to the bird, but talking to the birds, talking to the sky, the earth, and connecting that with the place that reminds me of who I am, what I am, and again that I have the right to be here. That's how I regenerate myself. And I'm learning more in terms of small wins. I'm learning more and more I'm training myself, training my mind to say well done about everything, as many things as I can, to say well done, as opposed to like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's a constant process, and that being good to yourself, right? Treating yourself like your best friend or treating yourself like a beloved child. All of those things can be addressed by focusing on how I treat myself.
Thank you for joining us for today's story. Making the Invisible Visible is our commitment to ensuring that Black women's histories and contributions are recognised, valued and kept in daily circulation. Across 2026, we will continue to share these powerful narratives, 365 days of impact, brilliance and inspiration. Stay connected, join the conversation and help us champion the women whose journeys continue to shape our world. I'm Paulette Brooks and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next story.